If you believe that the unexamined life is not worth living, you've got to hand it to a guy that went within and came back laughing. For a stand-up routine that you're really going to enjoy, just like the big comedy clubs, let's give it up for my man, Ben Tousey.
Thank you. Let's get it out. Let's just get it all out. Oh, that feels good, doesn't it? By the way, I got some really good news. Stephen Plummer has just made me an honorary member of the Redneck Woman's Club. I'm in, baby! So I got to tell you guys, I have had the weirdest day. I was standing on the street corner, waiting, to cross the street, and this guy comes up next to me. This really good-looking guy comes up next to me. And you know how it is. You're just kind of standing there. And he starts talking. He's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, oh, not much. What's up with you? And he looks at me, and he's like, so I was thinking, maybe we could go out, get some dinner, and go see a movie. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. I'm feeling a little bit peckish, and I'm dying to see the new Batman movie. And then he glares at me, and he looks back, and I'm like, well, he did ask. And then he goes, hey, I love you. And I'm like, oh, whoa, wait a minute here. I mean, you are a really gorgeous guy, and I think I would love to get to know you, but I think it's a little early to be dropping the L-bomb here. So he turns around, he points to an earpiece, he goes, do you mind? I'm on the phone. It kind of makes that weird conversation I had with the guy in the tomatoes at QFC make a little bit more sense. So aside from Bluetooth issues, I also have gravity issues. I have spent most of my life thinking that gravity doesn't like me. I mean, I'm always spilling things, dropping things, knocking things over, tripping, falling, stumbling, just the whole thing. And it kind of came to a head one day. I'm getting some stuff out of my car, and I just have, all this stuff in my hands, and all of a sudden I drop my keys. So I very carefully go down, and I pick up my keys. On my way back up, gravity grabs hold of my book and yanks it out of my arm. So I go back down, balancing everything, go for the book, keeping the keys, come back up. Gravity decides, you know what, I want the computer back. Wham! So now the computer bag's on the floor, and my mocha, which was 3 feet away on the hood of my car, suddenly slides off. Okay, I had it with gravity at this point. That was it. I threw my stuff down, and we were going to go toe-to-toe, me and gravity. I said, look, I get it. You're gravity. You're big. You can bring me down. I have never questioned that. I'm your bitch. I get it. So just to take a quick poll, how many of you ladies find it a little bit frustrating that guys won't stop and ask for directions? By a round of applause. That's what I thought. Now, ladies, have you ever tried to get directions from a guy? This is really complicated. You ask for directions, you get, let's see, yeah, you take a left at the next right, and then a right at the next left, then you come to the fork in the road, and you go to the U and the Y right next to the Denny's, and then you go, oh, wait a minute. You take a right before you get to the left, and then a left right after the right, and that's not a Denny's, that's a Wally's Muffler World. That's where I met my second ex-wife, come to think of it. Oh, yeah, and across the street, oh, yeah, the Dunkin' Donuts are, get this glazed donut with sprinkles, sprinkles. Oh, yeah, okay, so you take a left, then a right, and then a left, and then a, say, have you ever heard of a GPS system? I think my third ex-wife can get you one real cheap. So I hear people say to me all the time, they say things like, I'm spiritual, but I'm not very religious. But you rarely hear people say, I'm religious, but I'm not very spiritual. I mean, give me the dogma, the liturgy. Give me that old-time religion, the one based on hellfire and damnation. Amen. I've always wanted to be a spiritual person. It's always been my goal. And sometimes I'm good at it. Other days, I find it just really, really tough. And there are places where I just can't be spiritual at all. Like, for example, behind the wheel of a car. It's like when I get behind the wheel of a car, all bets are off. I mean, I am literally Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Drive-By. And you kind of know what kind of an experience you're going to have out on the highways based on who's in front of you. So, for example, if you're behind a Volvo, no matter how you scream and yell and curse and honk and tailgate, they are not going over 40 miles an hour. If you're behind a minivan, well, that's just hopeless. The only thing you can do is wait till their honor student is old enough to teach them how to drive. If you get behind a Lexus, you're going to want to give them a lot of room because they move around on the freeway, and that's usually because they're talking on their cell phone, balancing a coffee, going through the glove compartment looking for a pen, trying to find that contract there they're supposed to be signing, balancing their coffee, eating their queso crunch wrap from Taco Bell, playing with the volume on their motivational CD. Bottom line, the steering wheel is just in their way. And it's not likely you're going to end up behind a BMW, but you might end up in front of one. And this is a terrifying place to be because you are on their highway. They are important people, and you are a speed bump on their road to success, and you need to get out of the way. I'm a Honda man myself. I love my Honda. Honda people out there? Woo! I don't know much about cars, though. I once spent an hour and a half trying to find the belt buckle on the fan belt. I thought changing the oil meant switching from Valvoline to Pennzoil. And I took my car in one time to have the engine, have it tuned up, and the mechanic says, your engine is missing. So I walked over, opened up the hood. It was there. I just assumed the mechanic was trying to pull one over on me. I mean, while the other boys in high school were in shop, I was in choir. I was learning music. So people always ask me, can you fix it flat? I'm like, yeah, sure, just raise it up a half step. So needless to say, I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I know that. I have been, confused most of my life, and I kind of blame that on my upbringing. Yes, my upbringing. See, when I was a kid, every weekday from September until June, my mother would get me out of the comfortable bed and throw me out into the elements and force me to go to school. And she did this for 12 years, extolling the virtues of education. And the minute we had a disagreement, the first thing she said to me, "Don't you get smart with me." And then, if I did something I shouldn't have done, she'd say, "Why'd you do that?" Well, I thought, that's what you get for thinking. But if I didn't do something I should have done, why didn't you do that? Well, I didn't think. Well, next time, think. Another form of communication that my mother loved to employ was to get right in my face and as loud as her lungs would allow, and they would allow a lot. She would say, "Do you hear me?" "Yes, Mom." "Don't you talk back to me. Do you understand? Do you? Do you answer me when I'm talking to you, and don't talk back." So yes, I am confused. And I've spent a lot of time lately contemplating our place in the universe. Are we alone? And I've come to the conclusion that the fact that we have not been visited is proof that there is intelligent life out there. Do you ever get the feeling that we are the trailer trash of the universe? I'm serious. We're like the universal Jerry Springer show. I mean, I can just picture these aliens driving by in their galaxy cruisers, and one of them's like, "Well, I don't know, you think we should stop, say hello?" And the other one's like, "Have you been there, man? No, just lock the doors, roll up the windows, and drive. Do not leave the highway. Drive, man, drive." All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Ben Tousey, everybody. Feel free.